Okay, I think we might be live, mate.
Right on. Don't you love the countdown and the ability to be ready?
Absolutely. Let us know if we are live, people. We've had a few technical glitches this morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. How are you, Baloo?
I'm well, doing well. All things considered.
More technical difficulties. Getting some feedback here. Let me turn that off. We will get this right in a moment, people. So, mate, I've had about 3 hours sleep. I thought I'd be clever and go into a bit of cash, anticipating another retest of those lower regions. And now I'm enjoying the tension that comes with being in cash and watching it all go back up. So we'll try and make some sense of what I'm doing and what I'm sure many other people did as well. Got the twitchy toes there. So look, we're going to look at a number of things today, some fundamentals, but ultimately this is a technical analysis show. So it's great to have you back with us, mate.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, we're looking to let you know about a live show now, people. We haven't done this for a while, so I know it's a completely new time zone for some of you watching this at a later time here, but good to see the ones that can make it. Baloo, shall we jump into a BTC chart? Because I think we're actually at quite a crucial level for my anticipated pullback. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I've got 3 BTC charts ready to go. Been charting away all day, so let's dive right in here. All right, so just a quick little refresh for those who missed, I think it was 2 or 3 streams ago where I was talking about the point and figure chart on Bitcoin. It's kind of this charting style isn't used that much anymore, but it's kind of a good style when you're trying to find price objectives, either up or down, depending on if it's an accumulation or a distribution. Once this confirmed as a distribution, I did a count, and the count landed us somewhere around the $45,000 to $36,000 range. And that's basically where we're range bound currently. So we're holding that level. It's kind of the point at which you need to stop, look, and listen. So, you know, the fact that we're respecting those levels is a good thing. And, you know, we can turn back onto the candle chart and we're, you know, it's basically all eyes on this area right here. This is the area of focus that we want to draw our attention to for any sort of clues as to what may be coming next. Just this little consolidation down here. So I've got another chart prepared on the 4-hour chart. So just kind of zooming out a little bit, you know, we've had a huge shakeout event, a lot of volatility. But if you flip on the RSI, we're starting to see it wanting to curl up. We're getting a little bit of bullish divergence in the RSI, or some playing out of some bullish divergence rather. And I'm looking for an accumulation to begin to form. So it's still very early. You know, the transition from a bear trend into a bull trend doesn't just happen very often. A lot of people are talking about a V-shaped recovery. V-shaped recoveries are actually very rare. But, you know, typically what happens is you have a shakeout event, you kind of readjust, you reprice. You know, cryptocurrency is full of leverage. So, you know, leverage kind of adds fuel to the fire in both directions, really. A lot of that leverage has gone away. Funding rate is low, open interest is low. So regardless of a direction that we head, there's not going to be a lot of fuel left in the tank. So could we revisit lower levels? Yes, but I don't think it's going to be that severe panic capitulation event that we saw most recently. So currently we're in phase A. Phase A is a no trade scenario. We're just observing the trading range. We're trying to interpret the data. And typically what we're looking for in phase A is you'll find an area called the preliminary support. This is where you get a lot of volatility, a lot of demand wicks. We're trying to defend a certain area. Typically, you go down to the area of the wicks. We'll wick down, a bunch of demand comes in, but eventually we do taper off and revisit those areas. So that's what we've landed on right now, which is our seller's climax. The seller's climax comes onto an automatic rally. And what comes after the automatic rally is a secondary test. The secondary test can present itself as a higher low. It can present itself as an equal low. And in very weak circumstances, it can also present itself as a lower low. Although in this current climate, if we did get a lower low, I would be very much so proceeding with caution. I would much rather see an equal low or a higher low in the short-term timeframes on this, and then we'll probably be range bound for a while until we can get the confidence for a potential turnaround. But it's really too early to say for that right now. So Bitcoin is kind of, just wait and see, sit on your hands. Cash is not necessarily a bad thing. If you're unsure what to do, you can't lose money in cash. You can't make money in cash, but you can't lose money in cash either. So it's not a bad play. I am a buyer at these levels. I'm not sitting in cash, so we'll see if I regret that or not. But as from what I'm seeing, with the on-chain data and from what I'm seeing with just the slowdown and the confidence rebuilding, I'm kind of allowing myself to be comfortable with that decision. Another thing that I want to kind of take a look at is just the overall bull trend. The entire bull run thus far. So this is a logarithmic chart. For those who don't know, a logarithmic chart is not a linear chart in the sense that it doesn't show you the price advance of the actual prices. It kind of smooths out the entire chart to kind of pair it a little closer to the percentage gains. So a candle, a 50%, a 20% pump candle will be kind of the similar size throughout the chart. Obviously, 20% up at 100K is a bigger candle on the linear chart than what it would be if you were at near $10 or something like that. So the logarithmic kind of smooths everything out. And I've got this regression band that's going through the entire bull market thus far, starting off at the COVID shakeout, right at the initial severe down bar of the COVID shakeout, down to the wick of the lower bar of the COVID shakeout. And we've been respecting this channel for a while. And, hindsight's 2020. We should have seen a lot of this stuff coming before, but, we got to the top of the channel and we watched the demand just like die off. And that correlated with just a curling over of the price action. Euphoria can be a tricky thing, and it's really hard to kind of look past this stuff and maintain your conviction and kind of love is blind, I guess is what I'm saying. But yeah, we had a lot of the demand taper off, and then we came down back to the bottom of the channel with a lot of demand, and that's showing up in the volume as well. So we're not out of the woods yet. I think that there's still a lot of fear in the market. Fear can cause a lot of overreactions in either direction. So the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain liquid. So with that kind of stuff in mind, we are proceeding with caution, but I would be looking for entries down in this zone somewhere around the $33,000 to $34,000 mark for a retest. And that would correlate with a secondary test of what we're looking for on the smaller timeframes for reaccumulation to begin to occur. So yeah, I mean, that's as bullish as I can look at it.
Yeah, look, it's a funny one, isn't it? We'll attempt to sort of mix a few technicals with fundamentals today. We've got this consensus sort of virtual conference happening at the moment. Consensus is one that takes place in New York every year. Probably the biggest crypto conference. I've been to hundreds of these things over the last 5 or 6 years. And in my experience, you often get quite a bit of a pump during these big conferences. And coming out of the current conference, the talk is hugely being around Michael Saylor and Elon Musk becoming the green miners. They're Saylor's clearly taken the lead on quelling the FUD around the carbon footprint of Bitcoin mining. Obviously, Elon's put out a tweet yesterday saying he saw some positives in this, hope on the horizon, etc. Not going to surprise me to see these guys in business in the very near future with some sort of green mining initiative.
Like get the Tesla's mining, watch Tesla come out with a competitor to Antminer, and they'll just, the US market will blow up on the mining scene. Who knows what's going on behind the scene? But I actually find it very interesting, how easy it is to sway the public. But I'm bullish. My time parameters are high, and we all know where this thing is going. So
yeah, look, I like the chat we had on Monday. We and the video that you put out a few hours ago. I'd encourage people to go and check that out as well. You looked at the descent of the US dollar against the other currencies and what that may well mean for the macro picture of Bitcoin. I strongly agree with everything you've been saying there. So go and check that out, people. The big picture for both of us, I think we're in agreement here, couldn't be stronger for Bitcoin. Maybe also sort of taking a step back, we've got to understand that since that COVID dump, we've actually seen Bitcoin do 2,000% up to its all-time high. We rallied 3 times longer than we typically do as well. So, a lot of people saying a correction was needed, healthy, et cetera, et cetera. My personal take on this, and I've been pretty vocal about it, I truly believe that the big players are in a position to move this market around. I think we will agree that. I think they've understood that, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum networks, they possibly just don't own enough of that network. And my personal view is that whether you call it price suppression, price manipulation, it's certainly a game that we're going to be playing for a while here, of the price jumping up and down while these bigger players get their ducks in a row from a compliance point of view, from clearing it with their boards. We saw massive initiatives from Michael Saylor specifically. He had 1,000 corporations that attended a virtual conference he did to give them his playbook. Now, at the time, it's important to remember that, the statement was made, it takes around 6 months for a lot of these big institutions, public or private, to get everything in place to actually enter the market. So if you look when that conference happened, where we are now, it's sort of 4 or 5 months ago. So my feeling is that a lot of them are gearing up, but they want to enter at a better price than 64K. I think that's what we're seeing here. That's my opinion on this. So
yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think, the larger players, a big ship takes a long time to turn around. And the larger players are going to move slow. They're going to be calculated, and they're going to need a lot of convincing. This is a new asset class. Yeah. And it's a sector that is fraught with scams, fraught with manipulation and misinformation. So there's a lot of skepticism thrown towards the crypto sector as a whole. And I think one of the kind of big player, if we're talking large institutional interests, they are talking about investments that move the market. And I know that a lot of them, well, I don't know personally, but I would suspect that a lot of them would be concerned about the liquidity, about being able to actually enter unnoticed and exit unnoticed, or relatively unnoticed. So there's a part of me that suspects that, when we got around the $50,000 K mark, maybe people were talking to like the Michael Saylors of the world, and they were talking to the Elon Musks and whatever, and they were saying, well, we don't want to buy something that we can't liquidate. We need to know that this is a liquid market. And they probably did a liquidity test and said, hey, you know what? We bought X amount of Bitcoin. We were able to successfully remove it from the market and liquidate into a cash position at X and X price without moving the market too severely. The reaction didn't come for several months later, or whatever the case may be. And, when we had the bearish technicals show up, and Elon Musk literally tweeted as it was breaking down. A lot of people thought that it was breaking down because of it, but I saw it in the charts and I went short of it an hour before that tweet happened. So it's really funny to watch how the news hit, or when the news hits the market and how it hits the market, because the technical was there. it was breaking down. It was setting up, and then, you know, all of the blame goes towards one billionaire's tweet. But for those that were wanting to take positions, they got their opportunity. So, and these are the strongest hands we have in the game. You know, these are people that aren't going to be holding, you know, they're not going to be selling it all at the top like a lot of the retail investor plans to do. They're going to sell some because they'll be forced to rebalance, but this is a long game. This is the strategy in the game where you're not even measuring it in dollars anymore. So the Michael Saylors of the world, the large institutional interests that get it, they're not measuring it in dollars, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you used the phrase testing the liquidity there. You know, you could also, the phrase I was using back in 2017 was stress testing the market. And I know for a fact a hell of a lot of that went on. You know, these big OTC plays. That's what we saw back then. This is a different game now. There's all sorts of things at play, you know. Just in the last 48 hours, looking at the people that are coming in and commenting on Bitcoin, you know, the ex-head of the US Treasury the other day talking about Bitcoin, and okay, he saw it as digital gold, institutional play, it would be around for a while. But, you know, he wasn't sure if people would be using these cryptos to, you know, buy things and use on the internet. So it was quite interesting to sort of see how antiquated his view was on a lot of things, but certainly had a grasp of what's happening from that institutional store of value play with the institutions. Where I'm also going with this is if we're talking about testing liquidity, stress testing of the network, what shocked me when we had that big dump was seeing the likes of a Coinbase, Binance, etc. Trading effectively got shut down for retailers. To me, that's absolutely goddamn shameful. And I want to point out to the audience things that absolutely hummed along quite perfectly were the decentralized offerings that we've got on this space. Uniswap, the DeFi sector will definitely be where the light is shone by the regulators soon, because I think that is probably the real threat to that space. Bitcoin, I think, as much as I hate to say it, Baloo and audience, it really looks like it's becoming this institutional asset. Now, everyone watching this has the opportunity to not let that happen by acquiring some Bitcoin and sitting on it. But that's the game that's getting played here, in my opinion. You know, we'll see quite clear guidance and regulation around Bitcoin, but DeFi is going to be the next cab off the rank there, and I think there's going to be a lot of turmoil around that. So, you know, buckle up. We've discussed leverage quite a few times on this channel. Yes, I do use it. I'm trading with about 20% of my stack at the moment. I've actually increased that from 10 because I actually view this period we're in now as quite a good opportunity to trade and acquire some more Bitcoin. When you were talking about ranges there, Baloo, can we maybe just touch on that again? And if you could give us your thoughts around how you're approaching these ranges. Do you typically sort of day trade, or maybe give us a bit more of an insight into how you're approaching this stage of the cycle?
So I am not much of a day trader, but you know, the theory of the Wyckoff, of the composite man and the Wyckoff method is the money's made in the big swings. You know, it's very hard for the human mind to comprehend a exponential parabola. You know, a day trader thinks, oh, I can squeeze out 5% here. I can squeeze out 20% here. I can do 10%, 2%, whatever it is. But it's always linear. It's always those, you know, that linear space. Whereas the method of the composite man and working in the market cycle, buying the depths of the bear market where nobody cares and selling the peak euphoria, you get, you know, the 2% on top of 2% on top of 2% on top of 2%, and you get an exponential growth curve. So for me, the money's in the long swings. That's where I focus most of my attention, and it helps significantly when I'm in these downside events, because 50% retracement, nobody wants to see that on the books. But if what comes next is a 10x from here, or who knows, it's going to be just water under the bridge at that point. But yeah, we can take a look at these trading ranges here. So basically, we're trying to print phase A, and phase A is very much so like it's a no trade scenario. We're coming in from our downtrend. We've reached a seller's climax. We're going to go into our automatic rally, and then we need to have a secondary test. And that test is what confirms the width of the range. So until that comes, we don't actually have a trading range just yet. We're front running an idea. And I typically tell my students, don't front run ideas, just allow the candles to print and show you that the idea is valid. But it's kind of calming to show, here's what I'm looking at, here's a potential. But until this stuff starts to confirm and we confirm phase A, well, now we have phase B, and we're going to observe what happens next. But basically what I'm looking for is a breakout above the range, and then hold above it, and then begin to head up. And it would be that break of the consolidation above that would be the safest entry to make. But that's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a month away. So you really do have to be patient inside of this market and just let the stuff print. If you are a day trader, if you are a swing trader, you can play the range as well. The theory is you're range bound. So you long here, you short here, you long here, you short here, and you can play those swings. And you can, if you're very good at it, you can stack your position a little bit heavier depending on what you're trying to achieve, whether you're trading Bitcoin or you're trading the Bitcoin chart with Ethereum. I think that a lot of the assets are very correlated right now. An upswing in Bitcoin is going to be an upswing in an alt. So you could be charting Bitcoin and then just use that to buy Ethereum. Not financial advice. Nothing here is financial advice. But for me, I'm just waiting. I have my spot positions. I stepped in as a buyer. I stepped in as a buyer at 38,800. I didn't expect the retracement that we got. I just had what I thought at the time were stink bids. They turned out I could have had some stinkier bids. But I'm perfectly fine to allow these price candles to develop. But for somebody coming in brand new, it's going to be a lot harder for them to do that, because A, they've come into the market where everything around them was euphoria. They didn't know it was euphoria. They just thought it was crypto. And then B, they bought up at higher levels, and they are feeling that pain. My average price this cycle on Bitcoin is around $9,000 to $10,000. So me being at $30,000, $40,000, I'm cool to just allow the price candles to develop and get the confirmations that I'm looking for. But that's easy for me to say. I do empathize with where people are, and I empathize with the emotions that they're feeling. But historically speaking, and again, not financial advice, but historically speaking, max fear is best buy. So
it's really hard to push that buy button though at max fear, isn't it? But I guess that is the skill of really understanding, removing emotion, understanding that it's always how it plays out. Not always, but so often. I'll just get your thoughts on how I've played it in the last 24 hours. I took that move up to the high 30s as my opportunity to get out of a few speculators, as I would call them. Others would call them shit coins. There weren't that many. I've never really held that many, but that's what I liquidated. Yes, I took losses on it, and I moved those into cash, and I will be using that to bolster my trading account, my day-to-day trading account for Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you are an experienced trader, please support the channel. We'll use our BYBIT link. There's a bunch of bonuses there available. But I stress that is for experienced traders. I mean, this is a jumpy market at the moment. I certainly don't want to encourage anyone that doesn't know what they're doing to be playing around shorting, using leverage, etc. But if you are, help support us and use that link. Look, I liquidated probably 5 of my speculative alts. I'm currently still holding 5 others: Kasama, Solana, Matic, which is actually my second biggest holding currently, and I'll get to that in a moment. Now, the others that I think are also worth a look are these things that actually have adoption, things that are real. I think that's where institutional money is going to be looking. And another one that hasn't been that sexy for people to talk about is BAT, the basic attention token. So I'm actually looking to take another position in that. I held it for a very long time, and it just didn't do a lot. Well, it has actually over the last eight months, but so is everything. But I actually think that at this stage of this market cycle is another one that you might want to have a look at. I think institutional money is going to be asking those questions. Mark Cuban alluded to this the other day. It's time to actually look at projects that have adoption, things that there is a user base, things that you can quantify, not some slick marketing and a YouTube influencer shilling you something and, the hype gets around and it pumps. I hope many of you have learned to listen with what's happened. Some of those alts you were in that sounded like a great idea. They could take a while to come back here. So I'm not shitting all over altcoins at all. I view them as speculative tech investments. That's what this space is all about. But I'd really be looking at the top tier alts when it comes to that. Okay, great. You got a BAT chart here.
Yeah, I would like to mirror that message as well. Just, does it have an app? Are people using it? I would even go as far to, I've been really kind of questioning the value of governance tokens. I mean, I understand that there's a value in being able to vote, but you don't need Uni in your wallet to use Uniswap. Are you actually a participant in the voting? Are you savvy enough to want to direct the decentralized autonomous organization, or are you just speculating on a coin? Because the higher the speculation, the higher the free fall too. So yes, I do understand that there is fundamental demand for those that want to vote on the protocol and those that want to help guide the DAO. But I would argue that there's more demand for a token like FTT, the FTX token, where you're actually given rewards for staking certain tiered amounts of the token, or BNB, where it's not only used on Binance for a discount in the fees, but it's also the Ethereum for the Binance Smart Chain effectively. So really do think about the demand and think about why do I need this coin? Because there's a lot of garbage out there. These aren't stocks. These aren't companies. You're not participating in shares of a company. It's very different. So,
Baloo, it's interesting you mentioned that, because these governance tokens, in many ways, in my opinion, a lot of them are used to get around the Howey test, which is what the US uses to ascertain whether something is a security or an offering of a share. In other words, something you buy with the expectation you're going to get a reward from that. So that, on one level, is sort of the role of a governance token, in my opinion. But yeah, you're right. I mean, people aren't actually using the governance tokens for voting. Now, that sort of utopian libertarian view that is what is going to happen, I think we will get there. But, that to me is all about building community, building these social networks. And we're seeing the very early buds of that in a couple of sectors. And I'd just like to draw your attention to the gaming space, the play to earn space. This is something that this channel has been involved in for nearly a year now. We'd like to think we're right at the forefront of what's going on there. We've been covering a project called Axie Infinity, and look, I just have firsthand knowledge of seeing a community grow, seeing the tokenomics working here, where we've literally got hundreds of people that are making an income from this ecosystem. This to me amazes me. We've actually just got involved with another play to earn game called Nine Chronicles. Now, Nine Chronicles for me is super interesting, as is Axie. Nine Chronicles is really a truly decentralized game. And I think this has got a massive opportunity to grow rapidly. So I'd encourage you to get over and have a look at that. And the other great thing about it, and I'm not shilling here, but I will tell you that we do have a partnership with them. So we have received some tokens from them. I need to let you know that from a compliance point of view, but we're actually giving away those tokens back to the community. Check this one out. It works exactly the same as Bitcoin works. It's an ecosystem where the players of this game are truly the owners of it. You can actually mine the coin at the moment. So it might be a nice one for you to have a look at, because if you've got a PC or a laptop, you can literally switch this game on. It's a passive game, so you don't actually have to play it, but you're mining the token the whole time. So have a look at that, Axie Infinity. And in fact, have you got an AXS chart we could maybe have a look at, Baloo?
Yeah, I can take a look at ASX. I'll just really quickly cover basic attention token here. So, you know, if this is our accumulation range, if this is our accumulation range here, you know, we broke out of the range, we tested, and we got a fantastic rally. That rally has resulted in distribution. So this is kind of the same story we're seeing a lot across the market right now. We don't have answers, okay? You know, we can go and we can take a look and we can see how things progress. If I was to kind of lean on a bearish kind of sentiment, which is, you know, we are in a downtrend currently, so I am going to lean more to the bear side. I would anticipate that we find some support somewhere down in this area, right around 60, potentially even 50 cents. 50 is a big even number. I think 50 cents on basic attention token would be a good buy. But, you know, basic attention token is one of those ones that's really ahead of the curve, in my opinion. It's a story that people understand. They can see that, you know, one day we will have a token economy, and you'll be tipping creators and you know, escaping the Google matrix with this system of incentivizing creators to go elsewhere. But I do think that is a very far and that's a long ways away. But you know, speculators will be speculators. I think the market's just on hold for now. But yeah, that's basically basic attention token. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it falls into the same category as an Axie Infinity or a Nine Chronicles. You know, these play to earn. And in other words, I view crypto as effectively providing a universal basic income. That's probably a phrase many of you have heard. Most people would associate it with a government having to, you know, pay a basic salary to everyone to effectively sit at home. And what we're seeing at the moment, which is a bit of a surprise to me, the amount of jobs that have come back onto the market is not correlating with the amount of people actually applying for jobs. We touched on this on our show yesterday, but a lot of people have decided, why the hell am I going back to an office here? You know, I've been getting these stimulus checks. I'm only going to make another sort of 10, 20% if I go back to work. So I really view what we're seeing in crypto and basic attention token as an example of this. AXS is an example of this. You are rewarded for your time, for you know, taking an action in your daily life. That's the future of crypto. Bitcoin's wonderful, store of value. Boom, job done, ticked. You know, no competitor for it. But you know, for me, this innovation happening in the rest of the space, primarily on Ethereum, you know, this is just getting warmed up here, people. So, you know, zoom out once again, zoom out on Bitcoin, zoom out on ETH. You're so early. You're so early, and you know, the price drops on you. Great buying opportunity.
Yeah, there's a lot of projects that, you know, there's so much. Here's the thing, you know, like, I am not a very old guy, but I remember the internet kind of, you know, gaining in popularity. And I do remember the .com boom and the .com bubble. I was not, you know, an investor at the time, but I remember it. And the speculation on what these things were valued at was kind of ridiculous. And a lot of that came from the fact that people didn't understand the internet. They didn't understand what it meant to place a business online. And I think we're experiencing a lot of that right now with blockchain, is people just, you know, you stick the word blockchain somewhere and all of a sudden you're worth more money. And that's just not kind of the reality is we don't know what the future holds. If you were in the .com bubble, you couldn't have even fathomed an Uber. You wouldn't have even been able to fathom an Airbnb. It wasn't even in the realm of a mental capacity at the time. And blockchain is going to do the same. We don't know what blockchain is going to do. We have ideas. We can see what we can see right now, but as it develops and smarter people than us kind of get hands-on with us, and it develops and builds layer over layer over layer, we're going to know what this stuff is really capable of, and we don't have that just yet.
But Baloo, I remember the .com bubble well. I started a couple of businesses in the early and mid 90s. One was actually a cryptography company, a PKI consultancy. So I was kind of ahead of the curve on that one. And my other business was an infrastructure business. We basically put teams together to roll out the infrastructure of the internet, so all the the routers, the switches, and we did that on a global scale. So here I was as a pretty young guy at the time with over 100 people working for me. Things were absolutely booming. I couldn't keep up with demand, and bang, .com bubble burst, and it was literally over in a matter of weeks. It was unbelievable how fast that happened. But at the time, I remember trying to explain to people, hey, this big brick Nokia phone you've got, one day you'll be able to buy things with that and so forth. And people looked at me like I was mad. And it's incredible looking back now how fast it did change and come back. But the big lesson I learned there is I saw all manner of crappy businesses popping up at the time, and that's what we've got now. We've got, listen, people, there's over 7,000 tokens out there. 7,000. It's exactly the same as what I saw in the late 90s. There's absolute gems in there. The real skill here is investing in those gems now. So understand how early you are here. Understand how big that opportunity is. But don't get.
And I would add to that as well and say, the gems may not necessarily be hidden. They could very well so be at the top of the market cap. Everybody's looking down on page 10 of the coin market cap. The gems could be right in front of you. The market kind of does know a lot. So don't just spend all your time trying to find the $5 million market cap coin that's going to beat Bitcoin one day.
Well, it'll be interesting, Baloo, to see how long people's memories are, because I don't doubt that we'll see some pretty strong upward action soon, and whether the same influencers are back shilling 1,000 different altcoins in a couple of weeks.
They're already back at it. They're already back at it. They had one day of cautionary tales, and then they're back at the 100x coming up.
Oh, absolutely.
But let's get into Axie Infinity here. This is Axie, right? AXS.
That's the one.
So Axie, a lot of people kind of got upset with the new breeding structure. They doubled the price for AXS. They increased the SLP by 15% in order to breed two Axies. My opinion, very smart. Really, it's going to add a supply shock to the market. This is what we're talking about. AXS, it is a governance token, but it's also required to breed, and people want to breed. So there's a demand for that token. If we take a look at the technicals here, we had an area of the breakout right here. So this is usually where I draw a support line. Once we break through the resistance, it always takes the form of a breakout. We're breaking out of the resistance. It then becomes support. So I want to make note of that support level later. We were able to come out and we retested down here, and then we had a nice rally. Now we've been stuck under this trend line for a while. We've been testing, capitulate. This is a classic bump and run. So you've got, this very straight downward sloping line of resistance. We get a capitulation. We'll probably scoot back up, come back down and test the support again and carry on the trend. Now you can't really predict these movements, but what I'm seeing here is the beginning stages of a very classic bump and run pattern here for AXS. And it makes sense on the fundamental side because of the fact that they doubled the price. for breeding these Axies. So there's a demand. You now need twice as many. So there's a huge demand there. It's a good chart. It's a good chart. I've placed an alarm on this chart. You can see my little alarm there. So as soon as we break above this, I'll get the buy signal. The buy signal doesn't mean that you buy, it means that you pay attention. And I'm just waiting for that signal to come in, and maybe I'll stock up on some more AXS because I am a breeder now.
Oh, well done, mate. And the boys leveled the same criticism at you as you honestly said, hey, I'm looking at the back end here, but I haven't actually played the game yet. I hope you've got in there and had a play around with it now.
I still haven't.
Oh.
So I'm a very lost breeder. You know, I'm going to flood the market with the shitty Axies.
Look, I've done exactly the same as you. You know, I'm here. I am talking about gaming, but I've come at it from a macro perspective. I've looked at the numbers. I've understood. You know, look, these numbers are phenomenal. Gaming, the gaming industry is worth more than music and movies combined. There's over 2.7 billion gamers on this planet. Factor in the fact that, you know, none of us really know how long we're going to have to live these reclusive lifestyles. You know, it could go on for a while. So I just see that this sector as being right up there with DeFi for me. I think DeFi and blockchain gaming are where I'm putting a huge amount of time to really understand, you know, how big are these communities? What's really going on here? What are the tokenomics? And you know, X is one that we've been involved with for a long time now. We're looking at 9 Chronicles now. That's a token that isn't actually on an exchange yet. So you know, mining that by simply turning your laptop on and letting it run while this passive game plays away. That's something I'm also doing. So go and check that one out as well, people. You don't need it. You don't have to buy it. You can just earn that token when it lists. Who knows if it comes even close to doing what Axie's done? That's a good play. So yeah, a little shill there from me. I'll be honest about that, but I do like it. I love the fact that it's totally decentralized. Axie, 9 Chronicles, the entire blockchain gaming space. Check it out. Learn about it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with a shill at all. If you're wholeheartedly believing in the project and you're going to be a participant in that network. And, you know, I have to agree with you. And this is, you know, I feel very, you know, a similar sentiment. Like I've said multiple times on these streams that I'm not a gamer, but I'm also not blind. And I can see what's happening here. And it's huge. It's huge. The gaming industry is huge. Don't ignore this because you're not a gamer. Learn about it. Become a gamer. Get involved because they're going to be the first movers. This is going to be the first real world applications. This is the first sector to get hit by blockchain hard. It's going to be big.
Exactly. I mean, the gaming world has had years and years of building these communities. You know, they sit there and I remember seeing my cousins, you know, sort of 15 years ago chatting to, you know, here in New Zealand, chatting to some guy in Japan as they're playing a game. And that blew my mind to see that. So this next evolution of this is those same communities now have that ability to have all these digital property rights. It's effectively what an NFT is. People are still confused around this whole NFT space, thinking it's a, you know, a little digital piece of art, etc. That's just one aspect of this. But you know, if you take it to these ecosystems where you can, you know, with governance tokens, with the utility tokens, with all the in-game assets, you know, there's been 300,000 NFTs minted on 9 Chronicles so far. Everything that happens in that game is recorded on the blockchain. It is truly decentralized. It's truly owned by the participants. So that one excites me to be involved right at the get-go. Yeah, so for me, people, what I'm basically telling you at the moment is I'm at about 20% cash. I did that last night. Look, it might come back and bite me in the ass and things take off here, but I'm looking for another entry on Bitcoin, low 30s. I don't want to say hopefully. I'd rather be wrong and it skyrockets. But yeah, I think there's some great trading opportunities with Bitcoin and ETH. I think it'll operate in a range, and I'll be doing a bit of that. So yeah, some sleepless nights coming up again, unfortunately.
All par for the course. Nobody sleeps during the bull market.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have been asking, are we still in a bull market? So technically, what do you have to say on that?
I think that we've seen technical patterns like this in the past. So, I'll even just, let me just erase everything on this chart here. So, I've said many times, a high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low. So technically we're in a downtrend, but we've seen this before. We've seen this many times. Like back here in the DeFi summer craze, we have the high, the low, the lower high, the lower low, and then we continue to rally. So just because you have a technical downtrend doesn't mean that everything is over. If we want to just take this kind of area right here and just go to that, we can bring this over and just match it up. I mean, it's not a technical bear market for me just yet. I'm proceeding with caution, but we've seen this stuff in the past, so it's very much so within the realm of possibility for us to continue. We just have to let the candles print, and they haven't printed yet. So, we'll see how this kind of plays out. We'll see. History doesn't repeat it. It rhymes sometimes. So it's definitely there. It's possible.
There you go. So I see Mark Cuban. Actually, maybe I'll share this story below if you come out of that screen share. I don't want to upset you too much because I know you actually came out of Matic. But
you know what? I didn't have a large position. I just got it to use it. So
right.
It wasn't a large position for me.
Yeah, I had a bit of a knee-jerk reaction today because I did take some profit off the top of Matic at $2.60. I'm not sure where it is now. Let's have a quick look. But yeah, I did open up CoinDesk this morning to see this as one of the main stories. So I'll actually temper everyone's enthusiasm on this. Mark Cuban's wallet was floating around on Twitter quite a while back, and it showed that he was in Polygon or the Matic token. So to see this sort of splashed up again here today is probably just repeating something most people know. But he's made some interesting comments recently around. This is how I started the show. People, these big investors are looking at real adoption. Not the chance something might come off. And for me, Matic is going from strength to strength at the moment. So I took some of that cash position and bought back into it today. So yeah. In summary, I'm only in 5 coins now. And they're all ones that I'm pretty comfortable to stay in, and I'm trading 20% of my my total position on these bigger moves. So what are your thoughts? How many are you holding? Can you share a bit of your thinking on how you plan this next phase of the market?
Well, I did, not to kind of rub it in or anything, I did cover a lot of my position up at 57,000. I found myself overexposed to alts, more positions that I'm willing to kind of, more positions that I'm able to manage. So what I ended up doing is just kind of limiting the downside hurt in terms of dollar value by just shorting Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yep. The alts took a hell of a beating. They took a much larger beating than Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, had I been in fewer alts, I could have managed those positions a little bit better and been able to pivot. But, the space is very exciting. So none of us are really immune to the innovation in the space and wanting to be a participant. And this really reminded me of stuff that I've thought in the past where it's just like, you don't need to participate in everything. You don't need to be a buyer in every coin. You can watch these things. You can watch the space grow. I can watch Aave be a fantastic product that I want to participate in and I want to use as a high interest savings account. And I can just watch it do that. I don't have to buy Aave if I don't want to. Like, you don't have to buy everything. Just pick what you feel the best in. And then if you're going to trade like 2 or 3 coins. And that can be like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other of your favorite coins. Because when the moment hits where it's time to pivot, it was a matter of minutes. I saw the breakdown and I'm like, okay, we're kind of getting a little choppy here. It's time to cover some positions. If you're in 20 coins, you can't. It's impossible. You're at the whim of the market and you're a bag holder. And if that's your plan, and that's fine. But if you're wanting to be able to pivot, you have to consolidate down to some smaller amounts. So I do have my bags, and I'll hold my bags. I'm happy to hold them. You know, I did what I could to kind of limit the downside, but I'm not going to sell it. I'm personally not going to be selling anything on a swing low right now. Yeah. A couple of those got hit really hard though. Serum being one of them. Serum was a big bag of mine, and yeah, it got hit. It got hammered.
Oh dear! What does Serum do? Will it bounce back? Has it got some fundamentals?
I mean, it's got some fundamentals, but I just think that it's lacking in attention, and it's lacking in hype, and it's lacking in understanding. The Solana ecosystem has a lot of hype, but I don't think it has a lot of participants. Serum is kind of you know, the back end order book of a lot of these decentralized exchanges on the Solana ecosystem. But if nobody's using the decentralized exchanges on the Solana ecosystem, then what's the point of having the order book in the first place? So, you know, Euphoria kicked in and got it to the price levels that it was at. And then reality kicked in and it got it to the price levels that it's at currently, you know, restructuring or repricing in the market across the board.
Now, another one that has completely confused me, and it's probably a bit silly of me to bring it up because I don't actually have a hell of a lot to really sort of comment on here, but it's this internet computer that basically jumped straight into the top freaking 10 out of nowhere. Yeah, look, I will do some fundamental analysis on that for you people, but what I would say is it looks quite similar to Skycoin, to Centivate. Not sure that it's a groundbreaking new piece of tech here, but it did amaze me that it came in at what was it, an $18 billion market cap in the top 10. I've been around the space for a long time, and I hadn't really heard of too many people involved in this thing either, which I did find a bit confusing. So yes, I will get back to you on that one. We'll cover that in one of our fundamental shows. But the reason for bringing it up, has it been on your radar at all? Have you had people asking you about it?
Yeah, you know, it did come out of nowhere. So was it on my radar? No, it hasn't been in the market very long at all. But it's interesting, you know, when a token is launched onto the public market and gets it into the top 10. I think one of two things. I think, wow, that's completely overvalued. I'm not freaking touching it. And I also think, wow, the market is very interested in this project. So I want to pay attention and I want to dive in deeper. I think it's flattening out currently as far as the chart is concerned. I also think that it's still kind of overvalued. So I'm not really touching it. It's probably not one that I'll touch for the remainder of the cycle. We'll see. I'll pay attention to the chart, but I'm struggling to kind of understand what makes it different from some of these other projects that have tried the same thing in the past. You know, this node-based internet, where, you know, building on top of that internet becomes very, very easy. This is not a new idea. And it's an idea that will most definitely come with a lot of friction and stifling from some of the large tech giants that have the ability to really swing their weight around. You know, Google doesn't want to see this thing exist, and they can really throw their weight around to make sure that it doesn't. And it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility of, you know, lawsuits and a lot of drama to go along with something like this.
Absolutely. Just out to the community here, I know most of you will be watching this after the live stream, so I want to make you aware that we will be doing this at this time on this day on the regular. Baloo also live streams 3 times a week I rate this guy highly. So get over and subscribe to his channel. We'll be doing a live show together this time on Wednesdays. So please let your friends know. The whole idea here is, to answer your questions, get a bit more interactive with you guys. So, if you've got any questions before we wrap up today, please stick them in there now for us. I'm just having a quick scan. Maybe he's asking, Mr. Sean, is it still worth to hold Bitcoin for the long term? We can't give you financial advice, maybe, but I'll tell you what I'm doing. Yes.
Yeah, I would agree. If we're talking the long term, but here's the thing, and I always like to tell this story because, well, it's not really a story, it's just a theory. Bitcoin is a big threat. If you are going to be a hodler, don't expect that to be easy. It's not going to be easy to be a hodler of one of the most threatening protocols in the world right now. This is going to come with drama. It's going to come with severe drawdowns, much worse than what you just encountered. It's going to be very volatile. What I would recommend to the typical hodler is have your hodl, DCA, have your stack, but also sell some sometimes to make your life better. If you can make your life better, if you see large appreciations in Bitcoin, and you can sell some of your stack to maybe buy a house or maybe buy a car or maybe start a business or anything like that, take those opportunities to do so when the market is strong and continue to hold that asset. It's not an all or nothing thing. Hold the asset, know about the future, but allow it to make your life better at the same time and move both of those forwards. Because if you're all in all the time, you're going to get, it doesn't matter how strong your hands are. I don't care if you got diamond hands or not. You're going to encounter moments that are incredibly frightening, because if this is to succeed, it is going to strip the power of a lot of people who do not want their power removed from them. So that's my cautionary tale on Bitcoin, because it's not cut and dry. It's not easy to be a hodler of this thing. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, maybe I'll just sort of give you another thought on Bitcoin. It is very different to the other cryptos. It is that store of value. That's what it's become. When I first got into it, it was something I used to pay for things on the daily. I really used it as a digital cash. That's painful now when I look back at how much of it I spent doing that. But yeah, for me, it's like a piggy bank. Yes, it's still speculative. Nothing's guaranteed here, but there's a good chance, especially as institutions come into the game like they're doing now, could be worth six figures in the very near future. So yeah, to me, as I say, it's a piggy bank. Sit on it. Have a play around with some of the other ones, which are like a tech stock. That's where you might do 100x. You're not going to do 100x realistically on Bitcoin. You might do on some of these other things, but you might lose a lot on them as well. So I hope that answers your question there. Noodles the chillaxing cat says that Baloo's awesome. There you go. A cat likes you, Baloo.
Right on. Thank you, Noodles.
I think I know that cat, and I think she might actually work for a big bank as well. So good to see you here. Okay. Look, any other questions before we wrap up today? Or maybe you also says Elon is a snake. Look, I wouldn't go that far. The guy's entitled to his opinions. Yes, it is kind of perturbing that he quite clearly has the ability to move a market around with a few tweets. Look, he's maybe misguided on Doge, but who the hell am I to criticize a crypto? Let's see how that plays out. Maybe a bunch of devs get involved in that project. Maybe it becomes something better. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, maybe. So, but for the record, I don't have Doge, and I will never be buying Doge. So, Baloo, any parting comments before we wrap up for today?
Yeah, just, analyze your portfolio, figure out what you want to do long term, and make notes as to what the market looked like before the crash. A lot of my decisions that I made to go short when we were at higher levels was around the levels of euphoria in the market. I very rarely cover short in a bull market, but the levels of euphoria and the nonsense that was happening in the market at the time really kind of made me nervous. So yes, a lot of what I do is from a technical basis. I'd make a lot of my decisions based on TA and what I'm seeing in the charts. But that was taking a look at the TA, taking a look at the lower high, taking a look at the lower low, and taking a look at the market and looking at how nonsensical the market was. That was kind of the biggest factor that allowed me to take profits and cover positions. So if you're new, I think that this is probably one of the better things that could have happened from a long-term perspective, because if you've never experienced the pain, if we do continue forwards, it's better to experience these drawdowns in the middle of a bull market than at the peak. Somebody is going to buy the peak, and it's hopefully not you. I do think that there is going to be a continuation to this market. So it's good to feel that pain in the middle of the bull market than have to feel it at the top. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yep.
Everything is just, we got to let these candles print for now. We just got to let them print and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned it there. Look, if this isn't for you, if it really is playing havoc with your emotions, you need to have a bit of a think about your trading style, what you are doing. People have asked me, was this a dead cat bounce back up from low 30s to where we are now? My feeling there is no, it's not. A dead cat bounce would be a much bigger retracement to the upside. And they've, maybe if there is a dead cat bounce, if you want to view it like that, I don't think this market is over, but you will have an opportunity to exit at higher levels from here. And as I say, if it's playing havoc with your emotions, you want to think seriously about taking that opportunity. Not financial advice, but I have seen how cut up people have been from this retracement. I've been through many of these now. I'm used to it. I can sleep at night. But yeah, don't let it get to you. If it's not for you, have a proper think about what you're doing. There are other markets you can invest in. Crypto's not for everyone. It is high risk, high reward. I personally think this is the most exciting thing happening in the world at the moment, and will change the face of most things we do. So, it can also be a good thing to step away for a while and take that time to fundamentally understand what you're actually investing in, and come back to it with, a better informed mindset, so to speak. So, good luck to you all out there. It is exciting times. It can be stressful, as I say, but get over it. Listen to this guy. Join his group. There's links below to that. And we're here pretty much on the daily, Monday through Fridays for you as well. So thank you, Baloo.
You're very welcome.
To have you along
Always
again,
a pleasure.
Mate. Yeah, awesome. And look, let everyone know we're here. I know it's a completely new time zone for these live shows, but yeah, it'll be great to see more of you here next week. And thanks to you all for watching. We'll see you next